listening to the Fantasy Wildcard Podcast.
Yes, hello everyone, and welcome back in once again to the Fantasy Wildcard Dynasty Show. I'm your host this fine evening, Mags. You can find me over on X at Hot Seat Mags. And today I've got one co-host who is just the best guy you'll ever meet in your life, and then one prick who beat me by 1.5 points this week in a playoff game, handing me a devastating loss. Well, we'll pitch it to that guy first. It's the Grill, Ali, also known today as 1.5 points. Ali, mate, I'd ask you how you're doing, but you've already told me.
Yeah, I'm actually a bit under the weather, but I am warmed up inside with the feeling that, yes, I didn't even want to bring it up, but it was a bit underwhelming game, to be honest. Let's face it, Mags. We both of our teams disappointed, but my team just crawled themselves over the line somehow with a mixture of Sincere McCormick and Brock Bowers, even though they were crap last night. But we got there. But yeah, I'm doing really good. It was actually a really good week for my teams. 1-5, lost 1. And I think you were pretty similar, mate.
Yeah, very similar. I was 4-1 with my playoff first rounds, but I've had a nice little 5 first round buys, Ali, which I was very, very pleased with. We'll get to the less good news with my team's leader, as promised from last week, of course. And we've also got, the best guy, the best one. Let's be really honest with ourselves. We talk about the best 3 and the best 2 all the time. It's the best one from the Fantasy Wildcard crew, the Podfather, the Gaffer, the Goat, the Mind. What else do you want to call him? He's my friend and yours. It's Kev. Kev, great to see you, mate. Glad you're back. People were scared last week. They thought you'd left early. You're still here.
Still here, yes. I appreciate the kind words last week. Look, it's I'm going to sound like a topper here. I had 6 wins and 1 loss this week, so it's been a really good week. I will elaborate a little bit more on that 1 loss because it's going to come up in the show again. I'm not bitter about it. But I am a little bit, I'm sure. Ali will know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I'm doing great. It's fantasy. What a time to be alive, seeing like outrageous scores at both ends of the scale. We've seen teams lose and get knocked out by 0.1 points in one league I was in. So
yeah,
truly wild. But that's why we love this. Why we love this time of year. It's full of plenty of twists and turns, and yeah, excited for the show tonight.
Yeah, and speaking of exciting, Kev, we have some exciting news to share with the listeners as well, right? Kev, we're going to pitch it to you to tell us all about it.
So yeah, as you'll be aware, I am leaving the show in 3 shows' time, the end of the year. So that's the good news. But we've got some even better news. We've now actually got a co-host, which we are announcing tonight. So our new co-host on the Fantasy Wildcard Dynasty show will be James Collier at JLesFF. So look, this lad, such a top bloke. We've met him in real life. He does exist. He's not an AI robot. Cool guy, supports the Commanders, so keeping it NFC East wise. Really knowledgeable guy. He's got a background writing over at Touchdown and at King Fantasy, like Ali. And look, he's in Dynasty leagues with us, and he's done a great job in the ones he's in with me. So really looking forward to seeing this next step for James and seeing how he gets on with you 2 idiots. And yeah, I'm a fan from the outside. So yeah, really looking forward to it. And yeah, we've introduced him to the squad behind closed doors, and this is the public announcement. So hope you'll welcome James and all this stuff.
Absolutely. I can't wait to have James on board. I'm sure he'll fit right in, but obviously we'll never replace the mind. But we'll try to move on and keep things the same, but it'll be different, but the same at the same time. So don't worry if you're listening. We still got you guys. Don't worry, and we got a great show ahead of it tonight as well. Ali, Kev, and myself, we've all got some upward trending topics and we've all got some downward trending topics, but we're going to start with a positive. Ali, we're going to pitch it to you first. You're going to talk about this rookie wide receiver class and a huge positive.
Yeah, I think, to be honest, lads, I think this rookie wide receiver class is exceptional, is a word that I would use. It is sort of defining for Dynasty. I think a lot of teams can use players in this rookie wide receiver class to reset their Dynasty rosters and help them into the future. For now, and in 5-10 years time, hopefully these will still be replacing. But boys, I want to ask you a little quiz question, and I want these in order, please. Can you name the top 5 rookie wide receivers in fantasy points scored? So this is not points per game. This is points scored this season.
Okay.
Shall we alternate, Max?
Yeah. I think I know who number 1 is. I think I'm gonna go Brian Thomas Jr. as well.
Did he tick? Correct. He is the wide receiver 7. Kev, over to you for what?
I'm glad you went first, Max. Glad you went first. Malik Neighbours.
Correct. Malik Neighbours, wide receiver 10. Mags, pitching it back to you.
I
can give you a clue.
No. I'm torn between 2. I can see you're smiling.
Looking smiling like a
I think is it Ladd, right? Is it Ladd McConkey? Is all the way up at 3rd?
Of course, it's Ladd McConkey.
Yeah.
Wide receiver 19 on the season. What a guy. Kev, pitching it back to you. We've got 2 guys left.
I'll go Big Marv.
Correct. It is Big Marv, wide receiver 31. Some would say that's a disappointing output, but here we are. And then Mags, fitting that we come back to you for this final pick. Who have you got?
Yeah, I think on touchdowns alone, Xavier Worthy has to be top 5.
Correct. He is wide receiver 38. So that is well played, boys. 5 out of 5. That's a great start to the show. And
pretty good.
Yeah, just going back to the positive of this wide receiver class. I'd say at the minute there's 2 elite wide receivers in Malik Neighbours and Brian Thomas Jr. 1 and 2, wide receiver 7, wide receiver 10. I think we can both agree that those 2 have been absolutely exceptional this year. Considering the quarterback play that they've faced as well. Marvin Harrison Jr., I think we all agree can get into that elite tier. I think he was almost put there by default at the start of the season, and he's probably fallen down 2 or 3 spots for myself, but he can certainly get himself into that tier. Just quickly about Ladd McConkey, wide receiver 19 on the season. Just love what I'm seeing from Ladd McConkey. He's managing to keep himself healthy, which was the number 1 concern. I just knew that on the field, he's going to smash it. And with the Chargers not having sort of a default alpha wide receiver 1, I think Ladd has really stepped up and really helped that offense. And I mean, since week 8, wide receiver 14, so he's just outside wide receiver 1, which is awesome, really. Really, really feel like a proud dad, to be honest. And then you've got a group of wide receivers that I've put in a group they've done okay. So Rome Odunze, I think some people are going to say he's had a bit of a down sort of season. A lot of people will point to the quarterback play. He's obviously got competition for targets, but he's not quite hit the highs. But I still think, I've been banging on about it for weeks and weeks, I'd still be buying Rome Odunze with the hope that next season him, Caleb Williams take a big step. And then, as we alluded to, Mags picked rightly Xavier Worthy, 7 total touchdowns, I think 4 receiving, 3 rushing. But in general, we know that Andy Reid offenses, the rookies usually do struggle. The usage has been lower than we've liked, but a positive from this week, week 15, 11 targets for Xavier Worthy. So a season high. We hope to see that continue. And then there's some people that we've seen flash, like Keon Coleman, tied to Josh Allen. Wide receiver 33 on Keep Trade Cut I thought was quite interesting. Are you boys fans of Keon Coleman? Is this someone that you're interested in for Dynasty Mags? You're shaking your head, so I'm not even going to come to you. Kev, are you a fan of Keon?
It's just a weird one, isn't it? Because he was flashing potential and they signed Cooper, who's done absolutely nothing. They're a weird team of the Bulls. I think run game wise amazing, but pass game still. I still want to see more in that pass game to then obviously lift players like Coleman, Dalton Kincaid, etc. So lukewarm, probably the most uncertain actually out of all the rookie wide receivers.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think I still give him a pass just because he's tied to Josh Allen. You hope that chemistry evolves come next season. I'll just mention a few names: Ricky Pearsall, Jalen McMillan. Obviously caught 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games. Jalen Coker. I'm a bit of a fan of Jalen Coker. I think he's half decent. Xavier Legette. Yeah,
that's what they're calling themselves, right? The cokeheads. That's what I've seen. Yeah.
It's fitting, isn't it? Xavier Legette, Kev will like him because he dropped what would have been a touchdown pass against your Eagles. AD Mitchell, again, decent draft capital. We've had Anthony Richardson struggles there, but still not giving up hope on him. The Patriots double Jalen Polk, Javon Baker, absolute laugh out loud. So I just got a quick question for you boys. Who's been your biggest disappointment out of this group, and who's been the biggest surprise? So I'll come to you, Max.
Disappointment has to be Marvin Harrison Jr. Has to be. I still think that this is a great opportunity in Dynasty, because if this opens up any kind of buy window for Marvin Harrison Jr., who I still think is an elite wide receiver option. I mean, we just did our rankings last week, Ali, and I still had Marvin Harrison Jr. ahead of Brian Thomas and ahead of Malik Neighbors as well, which was, maybe controversial. I think a lot of people probably don't have it that way, but I just move my players a bit slower. I don't tend to react as much, and I've still got him ranked ahead, but you can probably get Marvin Harrison Jr. and a little bit extra, like for Malik Neighbors right now. If that makes sense. Yeah, you can get Marvin Harrison Jr. plus for trading for Malik Neighbors, which would be an interesting one. Maybe the same with Brian Thomas Jr. You could probably get him straight up, which is a move I would probably still want to make, because I think Marvin Harrison Jr. is the best wide receiver prospect I've ever seen come out of college. So I think there's definitely enough there. They're going to make it work. Kyler Murray's a good quarterback. They can definitely make it work. But for this year, definitely a disappointment for sure. It's got to be. And in terms of the surprise, man, that's a tricky one, because everything is sort of like Keon Coleman was never high on Keon Coleman, so wasn't really surprised to see what he's doing. Same with Roma. I'm weirdly not that surprised by anyone. Can I say that?
Yeah, of course you can.
Seems surprised by Marv. Marv's the answer to both.
True. Yeah, Marv. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I'll go back to the roast show that we did, where two of the wide receivers I called out as players that I could make some nice jokes about was Marvin Harrison and Ladd McConkey. I think Harrison's the obvious choice, the one that's disappointed, someone that's wide receiver 43 in fantasy points per game, below Adam Thielen. One spot above Quentin Johnston.
Legend. Wow.
It's an underrated terrible season with Harrison. And when I think about McBride's had no touchdowns, Kyler Murray's played all season, that there's a little bit of concern there. I think talent-wise, profile-wise in college, fantastic, but we knew he was going to be volatile, playing most of his routes on the outside. So he's the disappointment one. I think one that surprised me is Ladd McConkey, someone that's wide receiver 27 in fantasy points per game. So not as rosy as 19, but I think what he's done and the underlying metrics behind what he's done is really encouraging. I think he's going to maintain a really strong role in that offense regardless of who comes in this offseason. So Ladd McConkey, you've won me over.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love that, Kev. That last 30 seconds has warmed my heart.
You like the Grinch, aren't you? Your Grinch has grown from 2 sizes too small to 1 size too small. Horrible, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can keep that heart going, Ali, as we fire through this. So our wide receiver topic is great, and let's see what Ali thinks about these quarterbacks, Kev, specifically the elite quarterbacks, because you got a few things to say about them.
Yeah, it's the elite boys that really stood out for me this week. I mean, if we look at the MVP race, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, they're the names that it's probably the best MVP race I've seen for many years. But those top 4 for me, it's 2 tiers of 2. Lamar and Allen, Daniels and Hurts, that's my top 4. These 4, the top 5 on the season, the top 7 on this week. We had the mega week last week from Allen, and then another 41.3-point week this week. 7 games in the top 6, 4 touchdowns this weekend. Lamar Jackson, he had 5 passing touchdowns. He had 10 games in the top 6 this season. It just got me thinking about these big hitters are turning up at the right spot for you. These top guys are giving you that edge in Dynasty. Allen and Lamar Jackson, the 1 and 2 on the season overall. And actually, the cornerstone debate got me thinking, because obviously you did that last week and it did have quarterbacks in it. Got me thinking, like, actually, when we come to startups, which it's going to be around the corner, how many quarterbacks will be in that first round in a Superflex startup? Will it be your traditional 8, 9, 10? Will it be nearer 6? And it got me thinking about, I wonder if there will be some more wide receivers in there, or how many quarterbacks do you feel comfortable with? So it's a 2-part question, really. How many quarterbacks in round 1 of startups? And is your top 4 same as my top 4?
Ooh, that is an excellent question. First of all, yes, my top 4 is the same. I think at this stage, the only other person you could consider sneaking in there is maybe Joe Burrow. Right, Joe Burrow might be a guy that could sneak in there, but those 4 have shown, like, and what do they all have in common, right? They can get it done with their legs, whereas Joe Burrow, can't really do that. He's not bad at scrambling, but he's not someone that you would say can, consistently get it done with his legs. In terms of the startup, I'm just going to pull up who's the top sort of 12 quarterbacks here. So yeah, Lamar's going to go. That's 1. Josh Allen's 2. Hurts is 3. Burrow's probably going to go in the first round for 4. Sorry, Ali, I don't think Baker Mayfield's going to go in the first round. I wouldn't say so. Jaden Daniels, yes, that'll be 5. Jared Goff could be MVP 10 years in a row, and people wouldn't take him in the first round. This is kind of the aura that Jared Goff's got, so I don't think he's going to go. Sam Darnold's not going there. Bo Nix isn't going there. I bet Patrick Mahomes still does. Whether he should or not is another story, but I bet he still does go in the first round. So you're getting 5, and then towards the back end, you've got like Caleb, you've got Jordan Love, you've got Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert. I still think it'll be rammed with quarterbacks in the first round, because if you miss out on those 10, there's probably 10 guys that you can be really happy with. If you miss out on that, you're just scrambling from the start. So yeah, I think you can get anywhere between 5 and 10. So probably 7, right? 7.
Sit on the fence.
Yeah.
I think we nailed it, and I actually tweeted out my current Superflex startup right now. So I've got exactly the same top 4 as you, Kev. I've got tier 1, Allen, Lamar. Tier 2, Daniels, Hurts. I've got Burrow in there at tier 2 as well. I like what he's been doing the second half of the season. That link with Jamar Chase. Tier 3, I've got 2 wide receivers and a quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is the quarterback. The 2 wide receivers speak for themselves, Chase and Jefferson. And then tier 4, I've only got 1 more quarterback. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 7 quarterbacks for me. Jordan Love would be the one that I would take round 1. And then I've got 3 wide receivers. So Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, and Malik Neighbors would be my round 1. I just think there's an awful lot of quarterbacks once you get past that 7th one, and some people would have Jordan Love in there as well, where they could be cornerstones for you, but they're not difference makers. So I tend to try and get an advantage with one of the elite wide receivers before they go. So yeah, that would be my round 1. Top 4 is absolutely nailed on, in my opinion.
Yeah. Great question, Kev. But yeah, I think we're in consensus definitely about the top 4, and who knows what the hell's going to happen with these rookie quarterbacks coming in. Someone might take a flyer on one of those guys as well. We don't know what's going to happen with them. It's always a complete wild card, and that's why I want to talk about these rookies as looking forward to 2025, because the reason we love Dynasty is even when you're out of the playoffs, it's not going well, you've still got something to look forward to. Hopefully, if you're not trading away all your picks, you've still got something to look forward to. So I just thought I would break down a little bit. What is there to look forward to for this 2025 class, and how you should be fitting your teams accordingly? You should know by now the draft order. Probably most teams will set the draft order. You'll know where exactly you're picking. So I would just like to give the lay of the land a little bit on what this class is looking like and what you should be potentially doing with these picks depending on what your team layout is. So the long and the short of it is elite running backs. A lot of really strong running backs. If you have gaps there and you're thinking I'm actually a running back or 2 away from making a playoff run here, you are in luck. Absolutely. If you're thinking I'm a quarterback away here, I got bad news for you. There's no elite quarterback available as an option. There are 2 guys that will almost certainly go in the first round of the NFL draft, in Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. Neither of them are, going to really light the world on fire. Neither of them are game breakers with their legs. They're very, very different. Cam Ward's more of a playmaker. Shedeur Sanders more of a game manager, keeps things ticking along. Neither are going to be huge factors for your dynasty team, but they're going to be solid. Wide receiver wise, there's one guy and then a bunch of guys. There's one guy called Ted McMillan. Phenomenal player. If you think you're a wide receiver away, you should be aggressively at this stage trying to trade up. Aggressively. Use those first round picks before other people realize that there's only one guy here, and really that's about it. Travis Hunter is in there. Who knows? He's too much of a wild card for now. So Ted McMillan is the guy to go ahead to try and grab to trade up for. Or if you need running backs, have at it. It's almost worth trading back and getting extra picks because there's so many of these running backs. You'll have heard of Ashton Janty. There's plenty more running backs to go around for sure. Ali, I just wanted to pitch it to you and Kev as well. What have you heard about this class? Is there anything in particular you're looking forward to, or what's your general feelings about it?
Yeah, I mean, I thought you summed it up perfectly, Mags. I think there's the 2 quarterbacks that are destined to go, probably 1 and 2, if the current, the way that it is the top of the draft with the Raiders at 1, desperate for quarterback, Giants at 2, desperate for quarterback. Yeah. I think that's nailed on. But then there's also at least 4 or 5 more teams coming after them that also need a quarterback. So I'm really interested to see whether you've got the likes of Milroe coming into the picture. Obviously, we've seen Drew Aller. He's now gone back to school, which is interesting because there was talks of late first round, early second round buzz.
That's the correct decision from Drew Aller. That's absolutely the correct decision.
I agree. So that is a really interesting take. And I think at least as people like Sam Darnold coming into the picture and people that have on the precipice, even someone like Justin Fields could get maybe half a season or a season. So these sort of quarterbacks that are on the fringe become interesting to me. I think running backs, you've nailed it. I'm really interested to see the running back landscape in Dynasty and how that is going to change, because there is going to be a lot of running backs land on teams where you're comfortable with these running backs, these veteran running backs. So the likes of, I've seen the Bengals touted to pick a running back fairly high, and they've got Chase Brown at the minute. Imagine if you've got Chase Brown and they get one of these top running backs, you're going to be disappointed. And I think there's going to be a lot of that feeling go on. In terms of wide receivers, I completely agree. Ted McMillan is getting top 5, top 8 buzz in the NFL draft. I don't actually think he's that amazing. I just think he stands out because of sort of how ordinary this class is outside of Travis Hunter. There's a few names as well I'm not going to mention just yet. Is it Egbuka? Is that his name?
Yeah, Ohio State.
I mean, he's someone that people have been liking for a few years now, and I think prospect fatigue again. He's not had the best season, but I'm going to have him really high because I've always thought he's a really good prospect. And then there's 2 or 3 really decent tight ends as well that I'm quite interested in as well. So I think looking at the wide receiver class from this year that we were gifted, I think it's not going to be anything like that in 2025. I think the running back class is going to be the headline, and the rest could be disappointing outside of maybe tight ends, the way we've seen rookie tight ends sort of hit lately. So yeah, it's really interesting. But my general take is that I'm more interested now in veteran wide receivers and sort of taking a chance on wide receivers that perhaps haven't quite hit yet than sort of banking on draft capital and drafting a wide receiver in round 1, thinking, oh, this is definitely going to hit, because outside of Ted McMillan and a couple of others, I'm not sure that they're going to. So it is an interesting class, but it's not elite outside of running backs for sure. Yeah, absolutely agree. Kev, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of the same thoughts as you boys on the class, that it's weak at quarterback. It's probably going to be over anticipating at wide receiver because of how well this class has been and how well they've done. We've talked about it earlier in the show, and obviously running back's really deep and also really solid at the top. I think a couple of big things I want the audience to think about is sort of, first of all, at QB, there's plenty of backups out there that are going to have shots at getting a job. People have seemed to wrote off guys like Derek Carr with contracts or whatever and injuries and smashing his hand with a plumber listening to last week's show. But for me, he's like guaranteed to be a starter next season, and he's so cheap at the market. So he's someone that's really appealing to me. I think, running back's the biggest question for me because there's been a resurgence of the older running back this season. So I do think the value of running back will go back up in that respect, but also this amazing class that's coming in. But just be careful with them sort of middling guys that potentially have flashed, but there's lots of there's a big range of outcomes if you look past sort of the peripherals. Players like Chase Brown, for example, he's done amazing, but when Zach Moss was there, he wasn't doing amazing, and that's Zach Moss. If an amazing rookie comes in and makes that a 50-50, that's pretty scary. So, running back is the biggest question mark for me this offseason. It's going to take a lot to work through it all, and we're going to talk about running back soon, aren't we? So it's 100% going to be a better class this upcoming one than last year.
Yeah, that's a really good segue. Like before last year, we thought, wow, look at these amazing wide receivers, but these running backs are a bit stinky. The best one has got one leg, and it continues to have one leg, sadly. So we'll transition over to the first of our down topics for the week. And Ali, you want to chat about these rookie running backs just stinking it up?
Yeah, sort of naturally fell in place with the up topic being the wide receivers. I didn't have to think too hard about my down topic this week just because I want to review the rookie running back class from 2024. And boys, I've got another little quiz for you. I wonder what this is going to be. This might be a little bit more difficult. But can you name the top 5 rookie running backs in fantasy points scored this season? So I don't know who went first. Was it Mags went first last time? We'll come to Kev for the layup of
that's
who
the
is
easy
the
one.
Let's
rookie running back.
Let's look at Ali's face. Let's look at Ali's face. He's laughing again, so it must be Bucky Irving.
Running back 17, Bucky Irving, the absolute stud, top 10 dynasty running back. Full stop.
Full stop.
Mags, this is perhaps the second layup because we're going to go for
Yeah.
RB2.
Yeah, that's got to be Tyrone Tracy, right? Has to be.
It is Ladbroke Grove himself. It's AJ Tracy. Tyrone Tracy, RB28. Decent season, really, from where he started. Now, Kev, this is quite fitting that we come to you. That could be a little bit of a hint there. You like an older running back prospect. So I'm going to come to you, Kev.
I do. Yeah. Well, it could be a number of players, but with that hint, I'm going to go Ray Davis. Obs.
It is Ray Davis. Well done, Kev. RB39. But looked, he's looked really good in the sort of spells that he's been given. This is a bit more difficult because we've got RB48 and RB50 as the 4 and 5. So, Mags, I'll come to you for a running back that is really relevant right now in fantasy.
Okay. I was torn between two. You've given me a big clue there. So I think Isaac Grendo must have done enough to get there.
He's not done much, but he has done enough. It's RB48 for Isaac Grendo. Yeah. And then Kev, we're going to come to you. And if you need a hint, I can definitely help out with this one because this is difficult.
Yeah, really tricky. I'm torn between two guys. If it's one of these, give me a hell yeah. Braylon Allen or Trey Benson.
Oh, Kev, nailed it. Absolutely nailed it with the first one. Yeah, it's Braylon Allen, the RB50 on the year. And that just sums up where we are with the 2024 rookie running back class. Generally, a very poor class. Outside of Bucky and Tyrone Tracy, I look back at 2023 class and I was like, oh my God. We had Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, Devon Get the Tables, Achan. We had Chase Brown that's just like Christian McCaffrey light right now. Zach Charbonnet's been really good. Tajay Spears lit it up this week. Roschon Johnson's been all right. So we were spoiled in 2023, 2024. Perhaps not so, but it might just be that this class is going to take its time to get it going. Because if you think back, the top 5 consensus runner backs in this class were Jonathan Brooks, terrible luck, Jonathan Brooks. Trey Benson, absolutely love Trey Benson, stuck behind James Conner that's finally got healthy. Jalen Wright, again, stuck behind 2 running backs already. Marshawn Lloyd, situation where he can't get himself healthy. And then Blake Corum, that was going to come for Kyron Williams' job. It never happened. So I just looked at those top 5 rookie running backs. They've only combined for 768 combined rushing yards on the season. Bucky Irving's up to 852 himself. So it just shows how bad the top of this class was anyway. And then there was a few that also landed in bad situations. Blake Corum, as mentioned, Braylon Allen, obviously behind Breece Hall, was a terrible landing spot. Ray Davis behind James Cook, that has been really good the last couple of seasons. So there's just scenarios where it's been really difficult for if you needed a rookie running back to come in and give you points in 2024. And that's a reason why we've seen a lot of these older running backs come in and they've dominated the top of the rankings this year. But yeah, there's still hope. We've got Isaac Grendo, that's currently the starting running back for the 49ers. Kamani Vidal, his snap share was up over 60% this week. So I think that there could be bigger workload for him in the future. So this is going to be a difficult one, boys. I'm going to give my top 5 ranking from this class as it stands.
Okay.
And I'm going to kick it off.
Rather you than me.
Okay, maybe you just discuss my ranking. So I've got Bucky Irving 1, naturally, because he's top 10 dynasty running back. Tyrone Tracy 2, I think he's going to hold that starting job in 2025. Then it's difficult because I'm like, what's the pathway for 2025? Jonathan Brooks, love him, but he's going to be injured for most of the next season because of the late injury this year. So I've got Trey Benson as my running back 3. just with the hope again, James Conner could carry on. But I'm still hanging my hopes on. I really like Trey Benson in that offense. I've got Braylon Allen 4. Again, it's a difficult one because he's a backup. And then I've got Blake Corum 5 because we thought going into 2024 that Kyron's workload was going to decrease. Blake could take it on. I have a feeling we might see that a little bit more in 2025. And Blake, we've seen in flashes that he is absolutely fine in this offense and he might take more of a workload. But there's people like Ray Davis I wanted to get in there. But again, he's behind James Cook. So it's difficult. Boys, is there any major disagreements with who you'd have in the top 5 or is it equally difficult to rank past running back 2?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Like me and Kev are like, yeah, here pretty much. I would love to fit Jonathan Brooks in there. I was always a big Jonathan Brooks guy, but you're right. You just can't, can you?
I think as well, like after those first 2, you're probably comfortable with running back 8 as you are running back 3.
Yeah.
So it's just, like Ray Davis will be up there for me on talent, but James Cook's doing his thing. Ty Johnson's catching 100 receiving yards this week. It's terrible. Yeah. Really difficult to pinpoint where Jonathan Brooks would fall because you could argue him from probably running back 4 to running back 7 or 8. It's a complete mess.
Still can't believe Ray Davis isn't the famous soul singer name. Like I was convinced it must have been, but it's not. It's just him, just the running back, right? So that's moving away from our running backs now. We've had enough of that sad times. Kev, you're going to talk a little bit about the importance of having a playoff bye, something the 3 of us know a lot about.
So true, yeah. I'm going to try not to upset too many people tonight, including ourselves. I'll try not to be too harsh. But yeah, this topic, it really stemmed from the Thursday night football ball fest with the Rams and the 49ers. So much moaning on Friday about Cooper Kupp scoring nothing and Purdy, Debo and Juwan Jennings all having less than 6 fantasy points. And people getting upset about their 3rd or 6th placed sides really struggling in the playoffs. And you've got to think, are these players the reason you lost? And in a way, yes, they are because they're in your lineup and you score points, it's cumulative, blah, blah, blah. But the reason you lost is because you finished 3rd to 6th and you've got 1 extra coin flip to win. Because essentially the playoffs, it's a complete coin flip. So many 6 seeds beat the 3 seeds. So many 3rd seeds lose. Like, I'm going to share my playoff story, which Ali alluded to last week about why I wasn't on the show because he pipped me to that 2nd spot. I lost because of the medians. So that 3rd place team, I was playing Matt the Weatherman, 6th place team. I scored the 4th most points on the season. Matt scored the 3rd, so he did great. He played an awesome lineup. He didn't play Debo, so that was good. But essentially, I'm out of the playoffs. It's not because I put up a high score and lost. I'm out of the playoffs because I had to be in 1 more coin flip than I would have been if my team would have been strong enough to finish in the top 2. So I just really want to hit that point home to people that if you're moaning about losing this week, hey, look, you've got another 2 more coin flips that you would have had to win anyway. So it's so important to get that playoff bye. Winning your championships, you have got to get lucky. It is literally, even though Sleep says it's 70-30 or 60-40, it's a coin flip. Like, you might have been projected to be win 4 and lose 3 this weekend. You might have won all 7. You might have lost all 7. Fantasy football is a strange game, and that's what makes it a hell of a lot of fun with all the different variations, etc. So what I would say to people is, rather than get hung up on the fantasy performance in this 1 week, think about how do you improve your chances next season. And it's simple. You finish in that top 2 and you have less coin flips each week.
Yeah, or what you could do, Kev, is take the wise words of Bewitched on board and don't blame it on yourself. Blame it on the Weatherman.
I thought you were going to say C'est la vie.
C'est la vie. C'est la vie, right? No, you're absolutely right. Like, it is so important to get into that top two. Like, I am more. Am I? It's boring. I am just as excited to get into the top two as I am to get sixth, and a lot of times more excited because that's how important it is to have a chance of winning the championship. Like, if I'm sneaking in sixth, I'm realistically going, I don't have much chance here. But if you're in top two, you're thinking, game on. Like, this is time I've got a real shot here. So it is something you should be really trying to go for, and it's no coincidence that probably if you're listening to it right now, if you're in a league that is older than 3 years, you're probably going to see the same teams over and over and over again who are up there at the top. That's not fluke, like, because they're really paying attention. Every week is important. Every matchup matters. So yeah, you gotta, like Kev says, you gotta really push it, look forward, preview things, be brave, and minimize those coin flicks, and if not, blame it on Matt.
What a tune that is by Bewitched, by the way. I'm just playing that over in my head. Proper 90s banger. I completely agree. I mean, I was on the right side of some really, really close games this week. I think probably the combined winning score, I mean, is probably less than 40 points throughout my 5 wins this week. It really is. You've got every game where the projections are within 8 points, 10 points. They really are close. I mean, one injury, one down, Thursday night football, it really can cost you your chances. So it's just play the percentages. In any sport that I play, I always try and play the percentages, and percentages say you need to go aggressive at getting the top 2 places because your chances are massively, massively higher at winning, or at least making that final and making a little bit of money. So yeah, it's so important. Really, really important. And as Mag said, you'll usually see for a 2 or 3 year window, the same teams will be heading towards the top of the table and often getting the bye week, year after year, because these are teams that are smart about it, and they're doing everything they can to win during the season, not just let's just crawl into the playoffs and then try and win. Because my sixth team that crawled into the playoffs this week is 6-8, should never be in the playoffs. It was like the third top scoring team, but I somehow had some bad losses. I beat the number 3 seed, but I'm now projected to lose by about 22 points to the team that's in the bye. So getting that bye is so crucial. Like he was actively cheering for me to win because now he's got a better chance at winning in the semi-final.
Dangerous.
So yeah, don't underestimate any team. And it is absolutely a coin flip. So the season is almost a championship in one because you need to finish in the top 2. And then the last, you're only playing 2 games that way, your chances are massively increased. Yeah.
Improved by 50%.
Exactly.
Yeah. Absolutely. And a team that needs a lot of improvement is, as advertised, my shit team, ladies and gentlemen. We didn't have time to get to it last week. And this is not, as I mentioned, this is not a cop-out. This isn't one I'm rebuilding. And I'll be like, joke's on you, I actually have 12 firsts. No. This is just a crap team. Like, it's just a team that didn't do well this year. 12 team, Superflex, PPR. This team went 5-9, missed the playoffs, right in the middle, the exact opposite place that you want to be. So, boys, I'm going to run you through the team, and you're going to tell me where I messed up. I can see some places for sure where I messed up, so we'll have a look. So, first up, my quarterbacks that I've got Tua Tagovailoa, who I made an absolute smash and trade for It was I cannot tell you what this first was, but I got him for AJ Dillon in a 2022 first. So happy with that. So who the hell knows who that was? I couldn't even tell you who it was in that class. But yeah, that's not a bad start. I've got DeAndre Swift, who again I traded for. Again, this is not bad. I got DeAndre Swift for Clyde Edwards-Helaire in a 2022 third. So this team was the business in 2022 for the Suns, but I can't remember what I did in the league then. I've got Aaron Jones, who, again, I traded for. I got Aaron Jones in a 2023 first. I give up Antonio Gibson a second and a third. So again, pretty good. Pretty good, actually. I've got Jalen Waddle. This is a big-ish one. I give up a 2023 and 2024 first-round pick for Jalen Waddle. 2 first-round picks. Which, at the time, was good. But now, bit dicey. I've got T. Higgins on the team, who I drafted. I've got Trey Tucker, who's starting, which tells you everything you need to know, who I picked up off waivers. I have Kyle Pitts, who I traded for, given up, in order of value, a 2024 second, an early 2023 first it ended up being, and the most valuable asset, Daniel Bellinger, as well. I had to give up to get Kyle Pitts there. Kareem Hunt, I picked up off waivers. Javonte Williams, I drafted in the rookie draft. Elijah Moore is another one that's starting. Again, I drafted him in the rookie draft. Matt Stafford, I've got in at quarterback, who I drafted initially, actually. And then just quickly running through my bench, I've got Russell Wilson on there, who I drafted. Brock Purdy, who I picked up off waivers, actually, which was quite nice. I've got Dalvin Cook, who I drafted. Madison, who I drafted. And a bunch of guys who I drafted. I've got Evan Ingram, who's just going in IR. I got him for Chigakonkwo on a 4th-round pick, which I was very pleased with. And then my injured reserve, I do have Christian McCaffrey on injured reserve, who I drafted, and Brandon Ayuk, who I drafted on injured reserve as well. I've got no depth. At all. That's what I'm thinking. Boys, I'll pitch it to you first. What's gone wrong there? Because I don't feel like the trades I've done, Ali, are horrendous, but I just haven't really got enough, right?
Yeah, I think you need to carry on making trades, because clearly talking about your good team last week and now your bad team, that is a strength that you've got in making trades, because you clearly turn them into better players. So I think either it's a problem with the league not being very active, because you've got the likes of Aaron Jones, Christian McCaffrey that have all had value this, even this season, that you've not managed to trade away for picks that would have led you to maybe 3 wins or 2 wins, whereas you're now getting the 5th pick in the draft rather than the 1st or 2nd pick. I think you've got no elite talent on that team. I think you've got people that were on the edge. So Kyle Pitts, that has been terrible to second half of the season. Don't know what has happened to him. You've also got Jalen Waddle, that was probably ranked as a late wide receiver 1 at the start of the season, and now he's completely dropped off. So I think you've got players that are on the edge, but you've not got any elite talent, and you've then not got any depth to back it up. So perhaps the league wasn't active enough to let you trade them away, or just wasn't giving you the right value to trade away the assets that were tradable. And now sort of you're stuck with sort of Aaron Jones that's older. I'd like to move him on because someone could use him now in the playoffs. And then it's difficult with Christian McCaffrey because his value's now rock bottom. So you're gonna be holding him until 2025, where hopefully his value goes up. So all round difficult, but I think you need to trade your way out of it by the sound of it.
Can I ask you, Max, where did this team finish last season, do you know?
Oh, last season, I definitely. God, this this is going to make me sound like a dick, but I definitely made the playoffs because every one of my teams made the playoffs last season. So I can tell you that. I don't know how far I went. I don't have the little previous leagues. There we go. I can look at that. I don't have the little symbol next to it, so I can't really tell you too much. Actually, here we go. Previous leagues in 2021. This started. I made the semifinals in. Sorry, using Sleeper on a laptop is actually like a caveman rubbing two sticks together. It is honestly just the worst thing. 2022. Let's have a look. How did we do in 2022? 2022, I was the champion in 2022. There we go. That's quite nice. So I won the league in 2022, and then last year, this
is the big one.
This is the big one. Last year, 2023. How did we end up? I lost in the final. I went 11-3, and lost in the final.
So this is what's happened, Mags, and I can tell you the reason it's got shit. It's Christian McCaffrey. Said a few weeks ago on the show, your McCaffrey sides, they're the ones that will fall off because it's built around being a contender. He goes, it's a big gap you've got to fill. But I wouldn't say it's all doom and gloom with that roster because you've got 4 quarterbacks. So I'd sell 2 or 3 of them if you can. I'd sell all your running backs. Mm-hmm. It's doable in an off season. The tricky part you've got is it's probably too late to turn it around this year. I would always think like early on in the season, am I going to be top 2, top 4 at a push? If not, blow it up. But there's positive signs that you can turn it around. But the reason it's shit is Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, that's a huge, like he kind of carried me to the playoffs on his own, I would say last year, and then Jalen Waddle falling. A lot of players falling off a little bit there. So there's some things to do, and what's going to happen is next year I'm going to bring it back, and it's going to be one of my best teams. I'll be like talk about all these picks that I've got. So we'll end on that positive note because that's the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much once again for joining in. Boys, this has been a fun show as always. Ali, I think I've forgiven you for beating me for about 1.5 points. It's been that good a show. How have you found it?
Like I say, I mean, it started off well with the cheeky 1.5 points. We spoke about Lad McConkey, and we then ended the show with fixing your roster, getting it back to a contender in 2025. So, lads, I've had a really, really good show. Feeling festive as we head into Christmas. Really enjoyed it. Can't wait to see you boys again next week.
Love that.
Gaffer?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a fantastic show. It's been great to come back, after I left. But I am going soon. Hey, look, it's fantasy playoffs. It's absolutely wild. It is soul destroying if you're in a few leagues, I'll be honest. So I would say anybody that's really struggling mentally with fantasy over this weekend, playing more leagues, which it's difficult finding the balance, but it's a lot easier to take a loss to the Weatherman if you win your other 6. And actually, funny point, one of the teams I did beat, it's an absolute throbber whose name is Rainy. So the Weatherman, even though he beat me in one league, he made it rain in another. So that's awesome. And last thing, looking forward to 2025. That was one of our topics, wasn't it? I'm looking forward to James Collier starting in 2025.
Me too. Absolutely. It's going to be an absolute smash.
What an upgrade.
We got more to give still this year in 2024. So make sure you tune in next week and follow us over on X at Fantasy Wildcard and of course Wildcard Dynasty, and give some love to the Rewind crew as well, and of course the Devi guys as well, who are just absolutely crushing it. Love listening to all the stuff that we're doing. But from myself, from Ali, and from Kev, that's all. We'll see you next time. Bye.
When you have the wild card, you have the power to change the game.